I think I just broke Pokemon.
Hit that like and hit that subscribe button, y'all.
So in today's video, I'm going to be exploring Skull Villain. Skull Villain's a card that can deal 1500 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. Yes, even Jerry's scared of this card. It's no wonder why. You can go from dealing 10 damage to 430 damage in almost an instant. I'm going to show you how you can do this as well. Mind you, this is not a mastered deck. This is kind of just something thrown together that I've been experimenting with over the past several months. I'm limited to the cards that I have available right now. I'm not going out and buying my cards, I am trying to pull from my deck. While I build this deck, I do have a few rules that I want to go over for myself as I'm building it. Sort of like pokemonTCG Live, if I do pull the card, I am okay with purchasing sequential cards of that type. This way, I'm not going to be completely limited by cards that I have to pull multiple sequentials of. If I had to pull for every single card that I plan on using in this deck, it would just be a little too expensive right now, especially with the way that the Pokemon economy is going. I would really hate to not be able to finish this deck or complete the deck build that I want to do just because I didn't pull every single card. I wanted this to be something challenging, but something not impossible for me to do. So this isn't the best hand to start off with, but I am setting up. It's going to be a slower startup right now because I just pulled the Capsicid. I still need to try and pull Skull Villain. It would be really nice if I could already get the Cofagrigus out. I think I'm just going to be playing the Surfer cards to try and play more cards into my hand. Because right now, I desperately need to try and get a Skull Villain up, or I really need to try and get that Yamask to Cofagrigus. That Cofagrigus is... Okay, I just got the Skull Villain. I also wouldn't mind an energy for that Cofagrigus as well. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to use this attack to boost up my own Skull Villain. Boss's Orders, I hate that card. That makes me wonder, if they didn't attack, why? Unless they already knew what was happening. So I'm debating on if I wanted to use... Well, that's gonna help. So I'm hoping to pull and use this Dialga as maybe a last case scenario of choosing two cards out of my entire deck and putting them on top of my deck. If I really can't find the cards that I need, I just might have to use that and try and swap something in or out. I might make a misplay here. And I say might because I don't know if I want to switch out and I want to refill my hand, or if I want to play this out and use the switch for something that's absolutely necessary. If I swap Skull Villain out, I could put one of my other basic Pokemon in play, and because of my Latias's ability, it would allow me to swap back in. I think that's where I want to put my energy. And let's give this a little swap. And we'll swap to something that I can just... Okay, so there's the Serrano. That's not going to be nearly as helpful because I already have... I think it's 2 of my 4 total EX cards in play. I have the Latias, I have a Skull Villain, and I believe I only have 2 more Skull Villains in this deck. And if I can get a Psychic Energy, I could use Cofagrigus' ability to power up my Skull Villain. And now I'm kind of wishing I didn't use my my Surfer to switch. Alright, I'm assuming they're using quick search and they're going for their Charizard. It'd be foolish of them if they didn't. Yep, there it is. And now, are you going to attack me? Because if you do, I'm going to delete your Charizard, and then you're going to regret putting that other energy on it. Alright, 180. That'll be 1560. So right now, I have a single Skull Villain completely set up to just start dominating and wiping the field. Unfortunately, it's going to deal all of its damage because it's really weak, which means this is where the glass cannon part of things are coming into play. I don't know how I'm going to counteract that vulnerability because I really only need at most 6 damage counters on my Skull Villain in order for it to just absolutely wreak havoc. I mean, with just with 6 damage counters on this, it would do 430, which is enough to knock out most things in one single turn. So I mean, if you put 7 or 8 on there, it's good to go. I don't need 180. So maybe I put a couple potions or some heals. Because right now, the thing that I'm noticing in the pattern that I'm having is I do end up having too many cards left in my hand, which tells me there's more cards that I need to be able to play in these matches. And that's not what I like to see, because now I don't really have anything else set up. He's already got the Charizard back up and going, and he has the Pidgeot. Okay, that could be helpful. I really enjoy using that time card. The time card lets me play one Pokemon, lets me select one Pokemon. If the opponent guesses correctly or incorrectly the HP amount, they draw 4 cards, or I draw 4 cards. So, that was just it's a quick, easy way to try and see if you can't pull something clutch. Alright. So right now, because I have another Skull Villain, I am desperately trying to search for another Capsicid, and I don't have anything that's really going to let me just directly search for it right now. That's what I mean by I think I misplayed earlier when I swapped out. But I also don't have a way to heal anything. I'm debating on sacrificing that Snorlax. Okay, here's Precious Trolley. That's going to be great. If I'd pulled that sooner, I might have had a better chance of winning, because I could have set up with a couple Skull Villains, I could have set up with a couple Capsikids, and I could have come up with maybe a couple Yamasks, and that would also be the Latias in play as well. I don't want to say that Precious Trolley is a large part of my current win condition, but the way that my deck is currently structured, it definitely plays a factor. The sooner I can pull up the Precious Trolley, and almost on a hope and a prayer that it doesn't get stuck in my prize pool, or if it does get stuck in my prize pool, that I'm able to take a prize card or two really quickly just to get access to it. It really does help set up that bench. And even with the Dialga cards allowing me to search my deck for 2 cards, put them on top, and shuffle, it just gives me a lot of options. The game was fun and it runs fine on my laptop, but when I go to record these, it just starts lagging so much. So as you can see here, if you really want to see what happens during the rest of the battle, you can look through and see where I'm making my plays, and this is where I'll go through and I'll recheck and be like, okay, alright, so I may have made this play here, but looking back on it now, I can see that that's something that I did not want to do, or that's something that I shouldn't have done. It's all about trying to make the best plays that you can, and at the end of the day, it's also about having fun, and I'm having a lot of fun trying to customize this deck for myself. I know some people try to do the whole, oh, I want to min-max everything. I'm kind of that way, but I didn't do any research about Pokemon before I got back into it and before I started trying to want to learn the TCG. I just happened to be opening a couple packs of Surging Sparks several months ago and fell in love with the hobby, saw the card, and I'm like, hang on, I wanted to make a pack opening channel, but I'm also really into playing the TCG right now. It just sucks that my laptop isn't that capable of recording as much as I would like it to, as flawlessly as I would like it to be recorded. Okay, so for a little deck review, let's start off with Yamask. We have Yamask so we can get to our Cough Egregious. Our Cough Egregious will allow us to put 6 damage counters on each Pokemon that has an ability, both yours and your opponent's. From there, we're going to use that to eventually play Capsakid and power up our Skullvillain EX. As long as this Pokemon is in play, it is Grass and Fire type. Spicy Rage does 10 damage plus 70 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. If I put 6 damage counters, both yours and your opponent's, onto my Skullvillain EX, I can start dealing 400 damage. Actually 430. For a little bit of extra bulk, we have a Snorlax. We're also using him to draw cards. We also have our Sigilif for exactly that as well, so we could draw some extra cards. We have Latias to allow all of our basic Pokemon in play to have no retreat cost. So that's going to be Snorlax, Sigilif, Latias, Capsakid, Yamask, and the other 2 Pokemon in our deck is Victini, and attacks used by your Evolution Fire Pokemon do 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weaknesses. A little bit of an extra boost, not that Skullvillain needs it. And just so we can try searching our deck for more cards, we have Dialga with Time Manipulation. It allows us to search our deck for 2 cards, shuffle the deck, and then put those on top of our deck in any order we want. I can pair that with the Surfer. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. If you do, draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. And I'm also becoming another extremely big fan of this other trainer card, Time. Tell your opponent the name of a Pokemon in your hand and put that Pokemon face down in front of you. Your opponent guesses that Pokemon's HP and then you reveal it. Or if your opponent guessed right, they draw 4 cards. If they guessed wrong, you draw 4 cards. And more times than not, this plays in my favor of me drawing 4 cards. Now, to help me search for Pokemon in my deck, I have myself an Ultra Ball. We have a Switch, just in case I don't have enough energy on the Pokemon or I don't want to burn the energy on my active Pokemon to switch it in. If I have it, I can use it. Same thing with Surfer, makes it super convenient. Energy Search. The Dusk Ball. Looking at the bottom 7 cards of your deck, you may reveal a Pokemon you find, put it in your hand, and shuffle the others back into your deck. We also have Drayton. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon and a trainer card you find there, put them into your hand, and shuffle the others back. We have Serrano. Search your deck for up to 3 EX Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into my hand. So I'm thinking about decreasing the amount of Serranos in my deck because my EX Pokemon consist of Latias and Skullvillain. Doesn't really help me pull anything else. We also have our Super Rod, so I could shuffle up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from my discard pile into my deck. Now, I don't like this nearly as much as I thought I was going to. I initially misread it. I thought it was into your hand, not your deck. That was completely my bad. Skipping over Surfer, as we've already covered him. We have Precious Trolley. If this is one of the first cards that I can pull, I can search my deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto my bench. And ideally, I would like to have 2 Capsakids, I would like to have 2 Yamasks, I would like to have my Latias, and I would also like to have a Dialga. We also have Boss's Orders, which allows me to switch one of my opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. And that's all of my trainer cards. Now, I do have 13 Fire Energy and 5 Psychic Energy to fill out the rest of my deck to give me my 60 of 60. Well, take care, y'all. Be safe. Stay blessed. And I hope to catch you on the next video.